I just wanted to jump on here real quick with some stuff that is developing with the Russian submarines and share a couple of prophecies that the Lord gave me back in 2017 and 2018. But we're going to start in the book of Amos 3 and 7. It says, "Surely the Lord God will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto the servants, the prophets." Otherwise, God lets us know as his children, he lets us know what's to come. And, there's certain things that he does himself, and then there's certain things that he allows man to do, because he gives all of us free will, and sometimes free will gets us in situations as well. We're going to start with what has been developing. As you all know probably by now, because it's been all over the news, Russia had a nuclear submarine and several warships that has been in Cuba off of the coast of Florida for 5 days. They were in Florida and supposed to be doing training exercises down there, but they spotted one of their I can't remember if it was the ship or a submarine that they spotted that was in the Gulf area within the last 5 days as well. And they also have been up and down the coast of Florida too as well. Yesterday, they supposedly they moved out of Cuba, and the warships themselves have headed to the Caribbean, to Venezuela, which I'm going to share a prophecy that I got about Venezuela too. I don't know if they're connected with the Watch Atlantic prophecy, but we're going to go over all of those together, because the nuclear submarine has went back into the up into the Atlantic oceans. And here on Miami Herald, they reported this, and it says, Russia has split up the naval flotilla that had docked in Havana earlier this week, sending its nuclear submarine back north to the Atlantic and the rest of its warships south, where they're expected to make a port call in Venezuela, a U.S. official told McClatchy and the Miami Herald on Tuesday. It says U.S. and Canadian warships, including destroyers and Coast Guard cutters, followed the submarine on Tuesday as it traveled back up the Florida coast in international waters, a reflection of the vessel's significance and its proximity to the U.S. shores. And it goes on reading about different things, about stuff that, that's happened since that they were in Havana and stuff, and tracking how they've been tracking all the warships and the submarines. So now we're going to fast track to the prophecy and go ahead and give that to you, because the Lord, I think, is very much telling his people right now to watch the Atlantic. Because what I was shown back in 2018 on September 6th, I seen the words "Watch Atlantic," and then I seen someone's face slowly going underwater, face up. And they were going underneath the water, kind of like a submarine would do, like how it goes down up underneath the water really slow. And it says, and their nose was growing, staying above the water, kind of like the children's story of how Pinocchio's nose grew whenever he fibbed. It says, could possibly mean someone's fibbing and submarines off in the Atlantic, or it could have to do with the storms in the Atlantic, because at that time there was storms, and right now we have storms in the Atlantic right now too, because of hurricane season coming up. And we actually have one storm in particular right now that's out there. But I honestly think, though, that the person that was going under the water real slow. I think that means that they're about a submarine in the water off in the Atlantic, and they're fibbing about why they're there. Because if you'll remember back whenever Russia invaded Crimea back in 2014, before they did that, they was right on the line, like their border. They were right, and they were doing training exercise right off the border of Ukraine. And they told everybody, oh no, we're just doing training exercises. That's all it is. And then the next thing you knew, that they invaded Crimea and took it over, that part of Ukraine. They took that over in 2014 and has had control of it since then, way before the Ukraine war started throughout the rest of the country. And we all pretty much knew back then that eventually they would invade Ukraine itself, the rest of the country. And it happened. So, you can't trust what Russia is saying whenever they say they're just training, because that is an awful lot of training happening right at the same time. And I remember there's an old prophecy from Dmitry Dunmanar. I can't pronounce his name. He's a little Romanian guy, and he prophesied in the 1996 about Russia and China invading the United States, and that Cuba and North Korea would be some of the countries that back them and will be helping them. And right now, as we speak, Putin is in talking to the leader of North Korea right now, strengthening their military ties. And he went and spoke to China about 2 months ago, before all of this, before he sent these warships and nuclear submarine to Cuba. So I definitely feel like this is the time that we need to be watching the Atlantic, because that submarine is out in the Atlantic off our coast, of the United States coast. And then we'll go on to, hang on, let's get over here. Now, I had 2 dreams, and I seen this map right here. And as soon as it pulls up, I seen this area right here on the southern United States coastal area. And it was like in the dream, I just seen the coastline, and it was like I was being brought down the coastline, and I seen all of this coastline, and I seen all the way down to Nicaragua, Colombia, and on down, like right in here. And then that was the end of the first dream. The second dream, it was more specified on these areas right here to here, and seen this. And in the second dream, I heard an audible voice say some words here, and let me pull it up. Even though you can't see Venezuela on that map, and I didn't see it in the dream, Venezuela is over here in this area. There's Cuba right here, and Venezuela is right over here. You can barely see the border of it right here. But they're over here in this area where these warships are going to. Let me bring that down. And it says about 2 weeks ago, this was in 2017, and I didn't initially tell with the map. It just says, about 2 weeks ago, I posted this map and asked for prayer for the people in these areas because of the dream I had. I didn't tell anyone exactly what the dream was because I was waiting on the Lord to confirm it. And it says, well, today I released what was shown in the dream. I seen a map before my eyes and heard the words 6.1 tsunami, Venezuela. And then I go on, to tell them I know that Venezuela was not on the map, but we need to pray for these areas because I'm not sure exactly what is going to happen there. And if these are all, I don't know if this is tied into Russia or not. I just thought I would throw this in here because eventually there will be a 6.1 tsunami, and it somehow Venezuela is going to be, their name is going to be brought up. I don't know if it's going to happen by Venezuela or if it's going to happen in the areas where I seen on that map, but I know that there's going to be some stuff that's going to be affected with all of this. I guess the map's not going to pull back up. But we definitely need to keep an eye out on all of these areas as well. Plus, watch the Atlantic, because something is definitely going on with that submarine that is not kosher. It's not. Oh, here's the areas of the map. Because I seen this before I heard that 6.1 tsunami in Venezuela. So we need to watch these areas. Keep an eye out for Venezuela in the news that has something to do with the 6.1 and a tsunami. And most definitely with the submarine being out in the Atlantic, we need to watch the Atlantic like the Lord instructed us to do. And so, and then right here, I remember waking up and on June 3rd, 2018, which was like what, probably about 6 months later or so, or into the next year, I woke up in the morning with the word Russia, and it's on the horizon. And so I'm telling you, with things heating up so bad, and everything that we're seeing in Jerusalem, because Jerusalem and Israel, that's our biblical timepiece with everything that's happening out there, and the prophecies starting to come to pass, the beginning. We're fixing to see Psalms 83 like the world has never seen before, and they're going to call for peace, to divide that land up and give it up for peace like they have done in the past. And then we're looking at 7-year tribulation happening pretty soon after that with the Magog War. So, we're just keeping our eyes out and watching what Jesus told us to watch, because Jesus told us repeatedly to watch and pray. It's all throughout. Jesus told that. He told his disciples whenever he would go up and pray, he asked them to set watch for him. And that's what we're doing right now. We're setting watch for for Jesus's return, because he will be returning. And it's going to be a lot sooner than I think that a lot of people thinks it is. And then also, I just want to throw this in here, because I know in the Bible the bear represents the Media and Persia Empire, but we have a bear. We have a country that has a bear for its symbol right now in the days that we live in, and that's Russia. And on April 19th, 2017, I had a vision, and I was awake whenever I had this vision. I was not asleep. And I seen a very aggressive bear in an old wooden cage. It was roaring and breaking down the cage, and had made a hole in it and was very close to coming out of the cage, and it was very angry. And also, I told in one of the other videos as well, I didn't put the very, very end of this on there, because at the same time I seen a jihadist group like ISIS, and they were planning an attack against some place called Colombia. So I don't know if that was a country or if it was a city in the United States, or where it was at, but I didn't see if they actually got to attack or not, but it was I just seen that they was planning an attack. So if we hear anything about ISIS or any kind of group, jihad group like that, like ISIS, which they're all the same. They just changed their names to confuse. us Americans. That's what I was told by a Muslim woman that used to be a client of mine whenever I had a hair salon in Missouri. I did her hair. I'd have to like book her appointments when nobody else was around so that nobody would see her hair because she kept it wrapped up in their little headdress thing that they wear. And we was talking about ISIS one day, and she told me, she said they're all the same. They just changed their names to confuse you Americans. That's what she told me. So it's all the same. It's jihad. It is that jihad, terrorist type stuff. So that comes out of the Middle East, and she was from the Middle East, so she knew what she was talking about. But anyway, so we can keep watch on that as well, because this old wooden cage too was in my backyard. It was right in my backyard, which represents being in the United States backyard. An aggressive, very aggressive bear, and it was angry. And something else that happened while Russia was in Cuba, the United States caused Russia's stock market to crash over there because they took the dollar away from them being able to trade the American dollar. So that was something else that happened in the last 5 days too, and Russia's very upset about that. They want to go to war so bad that they can't hardly stand it right now with America because of what we did to their stock markets over the last 5 days. So, but anyway, let's just keep an eye out and watch the Atlantic like the Lord instructed us to do, and keep watch for him and not fall asleep on the job. You know, the disciples kept falling asleep. They fell asleep 3 times on right after the Last Supper whenever they went out and Jesus went out to go pray, and he asked them to watch. So let's keep our watch up and be watching and praying about these things, and because God will protect his people. I seen angels got, you know, us having to go through very, very gross darkness like the Bible talks about, but I seen angel. There was an angel assigned to every one of God's people and was flying them through the darkness so we could get to the light on the other side. So don't let these things scare you, because it shouldn't scare you at all. If you're right with the Lord, he's got you. He's got all of us in the palm of his hand. And I'm going to get off of here, but I just wanted to bring this to y'all so that y'all could hear some of the visions and stuff and dreams and prophecies that the Lord has given that is starting to line up as we watch like we're instructed. Y'all have a very blessed day, and I love you all.